All right, the entity is amplifying helicopter activity again directly over my apartment. All they do is listen to me talk about them, and then they do more. And this is, again, also why you're going to relieve the LAPD from their duties, because they clearly don't have anything else to do other than engage in terrorism. So I just want to make sure that I point that out to you. The light source is directly over my head at my apartment, and the entity is at this distance amplifying it inside of my apartment. Okay, you're recognizing the targeting conduct, stalking in a helicopter while the light source and the engineered light surrounds you. You're not going to forget the engineered light that's remaining inside of my apartment all day long, the sunrise and the sunset, and the engineered light on my ceilings and the depths of my apartment in the morning while the light source is outside the living room window, and then you've got the light up on the ceilings in the depths of my bedroom. You're understanding what is stalking with light and what is stalking via these corrupt law enforcement agencies. They do it in the most spectacular, most terrifying manner that they can think of, which is indicative also of their demon possession by helicopter. And the entity is witnessing me expose them. They listen to every word and they come right back, engage in the same thing. This is showing what is the ongoing obsession and what is, again, the grounds for the demilitarization of these corrupt law enforcement agencies in the state of California, and also understanding and taking a new look, a greater understanding of what is actually constitutionally required and perhaps prudent with regard to the treatment of law enforcement and the constitutional rights and the safety of American citizens, because by virtue of exposure of the state of California and the pattern of conduct and what is not incremental, but what is a crucial aspect to the state's criminal system, these corrupt law enforcement agencies, the abuse of the government, it's a public corruption issue. You're understanding what is prudent as far as going forward with regard to how much weaponry these police departments actually need. It's to the demise of American citizens. You're talking about they shouldn't even have access to helicopters. This is a psychopath that is literally deranged and is flying in a circle. And this is why I describe them as literally diaper wearing stalkers, because they are listening to the truth be spoke about them, and they engage in what is this ongoing criminal conduct. And this is in conformity to a long documented pattern. So I will remind you so that you can see the Ontario Police Department engage in the same conduct, where it is that I'm sleeping and this entity stalking, listening to me breathe as I sleep, aware of when I'm waking up, engaging in this conduct as they listen to me fall asleep, just so that they can engage in harassment and wake me up. This is the demon possessed that engage in that hovering, stalking, and that clearly obsessive behavior. And this is occurring as a matter of as a pattern amongst law enforcement agencies. And so I'll remind you that the Ontario Police Department is stalking me, and they're in relevant position while I'm sleeping in a car. The demon possessed are not concerned with your economic status. This is something that the entity would like to use against you to make you feel like you're something that you're not, other than the focal point of the demon possessed eye, because you are. You're the center of their universe. That's why the fake sun and the moon is over you all day and all night. Okay, that the entity is engaging in this conduct as a pattern. And so I will also, you can look at the Ontario Police Department exhibit demon possession and engage in the same open demonstration of stalking in a helicopter. It's activity creation. It's also occurring while the entity is maintaining engineered light both during the day and at night. And they're also doing so as an ongoing pattern of group stalking, which the Ontario Police Department is so heavily documented, engaging in multiple acts of kidnapping. And this is the same entity, by the way. The Ontario Police and the Los Angeles Police Department are not different. It's the same entity. And this same entity engaged in what is an assault and battery while engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This same entity engaged in multiple acts of kidnapping, engage in what is making up information, and they're still stalking to this day in helicopters under the fake sun, replete with the fake moon. I've documented that as well, over the same building where the sun is setting in the evening, which, by the way, is also how you know that this isn't the natural environment and that those are demons, and that they're also, again, clueless, demon-possessed psychopaths engaging in more for the world to understand demonic activity. The light source is over me, and 6 hours from now, the entity is keeping this light source here as though it is setting through my living room window. That's not the sun, and there's never any sun that's over Florida while it's over my apartment building, and that's common sense, which goes without saying. And that's also how you know that this is a demon. There's no sun in the state of Florida while it's hunkered down above my apartment, and you can see it as I lift my phone up right above my head. This is the pattern of conduct, and this is where the light source is remaining from the beginning to the end of the day. That's the environment where the demon possessed are keeping you under surveillance. So it is currently, again, 12:31 p.m. This is the ongoing evidence against Sarah Chambliss while the entity engages in ongoing repeated conduct While I'm speaking to the simultaneity of behavior, they are group stalking right now in simultaneity, excuse me, with the simultaneity of presence by the people of the state. And they are also acting with simultaneity to the people of the state that engage in group stalking, federal stalking on the venue of the internet. And this is ongoing evidence against Sarah Chambliss. It is in no way contradictory or rebutting what this entity is listening to me state on video evidence, which is also going to be used against Sarah Chambliss. This is the entity that she's group stalking with, as she is captured under that light source that's at the same property as a matter of documentation at 6:48 in the morning in alignment to me. And while she is present walking on that same property at 4 in the afternoon, never is that going to be the sun. In fact, let's count together. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10 hours being at the same address. That's the specific environment where Sarah Chambliss, representing figure 8, a third party, is documented engaged in group stalking. And I want to be clear, Sarah Chambliss, it's also Louis Garcia, I believe. I'm going to upload this because all of those names are documented third parties engaging in what is the system of group stalking, and they're acting in concert with this entity that's engaging in what is open show of terrorism. This is America's version of terrorism in the U.S., okay? This is the ongoing circumstance. Look at UPS. You already know that they're demons. As they drive in opposite directions into the parking lot, they're pacing with LAPD. That's pacing in a circle. United States Postal Service was made an example of yesterday while the light source was not over my apartment building. It was over my head at building 1818 at 11:45 in the morning while I was reminding you about the demons of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department on March 22nd, 2022. And that light source was nowhere near building 1818 North Alvarado Street. It was over me on a bus in Fontana. Okay, and that's where the sun set, by the way, and through the window of the 8437 Sierra Avenue. And that demon also crossed path in the UPS truck while engineer light moved all across the ground. And that's how you're understanding what is demon possession, and they're acting as one. So you're understanding what Sarah Chambliss is engaging on the venue of the internet, and you're understanding the state system that's underway, and you're looking at demon possession, and there's no difference with regard to the logo on a uniform, the logo on a vehicle, demon possession, demonic activity, group stalking alike. What you're witnessing is impunity. And the African-American male whose image is caught in close-up, he's going to federal prison. And while UPS is documenting engaging in more and more of the same, because you're not delivering a package, you're group stalking in a specific environment and nothing that you want to claim is legally relevant. So while you're witnessing impunity and terrorism in concert with the state, which the demon-possessed are intentionally doing this right now, it's to their own demise. So you're going to drain the pockets of the entity. That's group stalking, commercial stalking. That's what you're going to do. They're engaging in the criminal act right now. They're also engaged in federal stalking. UPS is also engaged in what is the unlawful possession and knowledge of the personal identifying information of the people who have federal housing benefits applications, all their social security numbers, while they're keeping a resident manager under surveillance on every communication device, including my cell phone and the computer that I work on. And this is what UPS is engaging in. It's a violation of additional federal laws, which that commercial actor is also liable for prosecution. This is what the state of California is doing together. While they're pacing on the ground in the engineer light, the light source is over me. UPS is engaged in group stalking. UPS is a terrorist, as you already saw, as I documented, not only on March 22nd, 2022, but you have what was just the other day while the light source is nowhere near Fontana at the same time, but it is directly over me in Fontana at the same time. Well, it's directly over me while I'm at building 1818 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, okay? And this is where the entity is group stalking. I want you to understand what the entity's ongoing communicated threat here. This is a demon-possessed entity. They are openly engaging what is terrorism together. They do so with knowledge of the fact that it's being documented, and they do so, again, having no other face to show to the world. So you'll continuously engage in it and boldly in plain view, and as though this is some sort of statement that that the pattern of conduct, and it's not, because the sun is never going to be over one address all day long. So like I said, the sun is never over the Fontana Lewis Library, which again on March 22nd, 2022, the light source that you see over my apartment, and UPS is group stalking in that specific environment. UPS was group stalking under the light source in the specific environment on March 22nd, 2022. They were yesterday as well, because there's no sun that's going to be over Alvarado Gardens at any time of the day, which is speaking to what is group stalking conduct by the state, maintaining a specific environment for the systematic, ceaseless engagement in a P.O.C. And the demons like to come and participate specifically, directly, also in the face of the target individual, which is the behavior which poses a public safety threat to American citizens, not just me because I'm documenting it, but they like to do so while they are exacting some sort of retaliation. Okay, and this is the same exact African-American male. Okay, I want to be clear, acting in concert with corrupt law enforcement agencies. This is speaking to what is the fallacy of Black Lives Matter. Okay, you have what are black-faced minions monitoring other black. I'm an African-American woman. Okay, so this is black on black crime in concert with a corrupt law enforcement agency. This flies in the face of Black Lives Matter. That's not the only thing that I've heard, by the way, that flies in the face of Black Lives Matter being a true narrative. But again, the abuse of that initiative. Perhaps that doesn't besmirch altogether, but nonetheless, I'm going to digress on that. I want to let you know they're acting in concert together, and these are the same African Americans in California that will cry out Black Lives Matter against law enforcement. I want it to be clear: the demon-possessed entity that is monitoring in the state of California is looking to distract you with these false narratives. They want you to look at everything other than what I'm telling you. We are not tethered together by race. You can see what separates us. He's here engaging in what is a federal offense. And he's doing so in an unmistakable environment. And this is direct evidence that's going not only against the people of the state, but UPS, whose pockets I'm going to specifically drain. And they're going to be published as group stalkers in the U.S. Okay, known across the world for keeping American citizens under surveillance and engaging and participating, and openly so, with impunity, what is waging a threat against American citizens. And that's what you're doing in the specific environment where you are facilitating monitoring. And you also know that there is no legally relevant claim to passive presence. It's no such thing. That's why you're maintaining that specific environment. And that's why you also have the impossible occurring. And that demon was documented with engineered light all across the asphalt and moving across the mailboxes while he was driving onto the property, demonstrating his demon possession. And the fact that he is indeed group stalking with the state that you see flying in circles. And this is, again, an African American representing a commercial actor engaging in what is open terrorism with a corrupt law enforcement agency. And then you're going to look again at things such as Black Lives Matter. Okay, this is demonic pacing next door. This is the P.O.C. and LAPD the state does not cease to monitor just because they're not in plain view flying in circles anymore. I want to make sure that you remember that. So take a look at the engineered light that coexists with UPS's criminal presence. It is indeed a demonic activity. It does not matter the logo that's on the vehicle. You're looking at what is shared and what is the identification of no exception. And that's that pattern of conduct shown. But that up close screenshot of that African-American male, he's going to federal prison and he comes and acts with impunity. And that's why like I said, he's going to federal prison. And the entity is engaging what is, again, to its own demise, acts of retaliation, which is ongoing evidence against. This is the same entity that engaged in what is assault and battery. Okay, and this is what UPS is participating in. This is the true conduct, the true attitude of that entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. And UPS is being a sex offender, and that's exactly how they're going to be documented. Engaging in the sex offense, monitoring in concert with the corrupt law enforcement agencies, one who is in a private space. Group stalking while the entity keeps a light source over you. Everything that they're doing is centered on the targeted individual. Okay, it is currently 12:39 p.m. and this is the maintenance of the light source over me while you're looking at group stalking. And this is group stalking occurring in the private space where the sun is both rising and setting, which is also how you know that any and everyone that you're looking at, all the logos that you're looking at, this is how America's version of terrorism. While group stalking is underway by an entity, a public entity, it's a matter of public corruption, and you're looking at what is again absolutely zero exception to that, while what they share is presence in that specific environment and the outward demonstration of demon possession, while a demon possessed entity, that is the Los Angeles Police Department, a corrupt agency, is engaging in what is the openly terrorizing behavior of flying in a circle. And they're doing so while the entity is targeting through that environment. That's the engineered light that you've seen UPS exhibit, speaking to what is an admission of a stalker and the demonstration of a demon. That third party is specifically and intentionally arriving to engage in that criminal conduct. They're also doing so in concert with LAPD, who's flying in a circle. This is how an entity is engaging in what is, again, a show of hostility. And that's why you have the demon that is Gabriel Arriaga CARBAJAL and his daughters, a pack of demons who are engaging in their open hostility. This is another iteration of that same show of open hostility while they're acting in concert with LAPD. So I just want to give you the demonic context to what actually they are seeking and failing, because this is all evidence can be used against them. This is why the domestic enemy that is the law enforcement agencies in California, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, they are a domestic enemy. They are literally a declared domestic enemy in the U.S. And that's the grounds of disbanding. And also it's the grounds of federal prison. So I just want to make sure that, because that's exactly what's being exhibited to you when you're analyzing the crime, and then you're what's reasonably construed from their engagement in the crime while monitoring the documentation. Everything that I'm stating, I'm giving analysis. I'm not just giving willy-nilly commentary. I'm letting you know this is exactly what's reasonably construed from that criminal system that also has a demonic context. Which is relevant to what is prosecution for terrorism. And everyone that you see is engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring in the face of the target individual while they're monitoring documentation at the same time for the criminal purpose of communicating a threat as a hostile population. That's why you have UPS here, a documented group stalker. All right. The entity is acting with the purpose to show hostility because of, again, this entity engaging in waging an attack. So let me connect the dots for you. The United States Postal Service, UPS, documented engaging in what is an assault and battery by an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Yes, it's going to go on the criminal in the federal prosecution. UPS is a part of the entity, and they declare that not only on March 22nd, 2022, but again today, March 9th, 2024, and also the day when I'm documenting, I believe that was like 2 days ago, and you're stalking with engineered light, your group stalking while the light source is over me, your group stalking in concert with LAPD, you have all the hallmarks, and you are a documented sex offender, you're a documented terrorist, and that's exactly how, and you're also a documented engaging what is physical violence as that corrupt entity, and that's exactly what the substance of that civil prosecution and that criminal prosecution against that company is going to go. These are all of the resources of the corrupt government to keep you under surveillance. All they're doing is coming onto the property. That's how you're monitoring. This is all engineered light. None of that is sunlight. And at nightfall, it's all engineered light. Those aren't lights coming from the street lamps or the lights on the normal lights from the on the buildings, because your normal light does not create a gang of shadows around your person. They're group stalking 24/7. 24/7. And as you saw yesterday, UPS is a part of the same entity engaging in what is assault and battery, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, and openly communicating that threat while intentionally arriving on video and doing so with the criminal purpose to both threaten, to both intimidate in concert with a corrupt law enforcement agency that it knows it's been documented engaging in. And how do you know all that? Because of the directed light. Sunlight is not ricocheting in front of your delivery truck as you're delivering mail off of a brown delivery truck in front. Look at the video. I cut it out so you can see it. This is a demon. They intentionally engage in what is communicating a threat by coming in your face and being documented with the corrupt law enforcement agency that's outwardly being a demon. They did all of that show on purpose, and I'm going to use that. You're going to use that against that entity, showing what is the actual threat that they are while they're going around delivering mail. They're group stalking. Okay, and the American public, the world needs to be aware of that. The actual threat that they are, the actual hostility that they harbor toward those that are not of that condition, and then against you while you enforce your rights and expose them, you come and engage in more of it. You're not coming here to delivering a package, not with engineered light, not with the light source over the target individual. You're a group stalker, and you're a sex offender, a documented one, an admitted one. Okay. Also, again, bringing to light the reality, the actual substance with regard to things such as Black Lives Matter. Okay, so anyway, it is currently 12:44 p.m. The entity is engaging in what is repeating, which is ongoing evidence against third parties such as speaker companies, Don Noggle, Sarah Chambliss, who are engaging in federal stalking on the venue of the internet at the same time that the entity is amplifying helicopter activity inside of my apartment. That entity that is monitoring documentation engages in the well-documented pattern of what is repeating that, which is still the same criminal pattern of conduct. And how? Because the entity's environment remains around the target individual. So you're talking about what is a specific environment that's still there. You're stalking, and you are identifying stalking through that entirely engineered environment that surrounds. The demon possessed also engage in what is ongoing concerted ambush-like demonic behavior by acting with simultaneity, which includes on the venue of the internet with their communication devices, which is what Sarah Chambliss and Don Noggle and Figure 8 are engaging in. So the entity is providing more evidence against them. That's not any contradiction. That's a well-documented pattern by demon-possessed psychopaths, by the way. That's all that is. It's not helping Sarah Chambliss. She's going to federal prison. She's a documented aggressor. She engaged in what is assault and battery as an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And today, May 9, 2024, she's acting in concert with that entity that is here, threatening my life, showing hostility, targeting me with the amplified audible activity while the light source is over my head and while demons are pacing all around. Demons that engage in what is physically attacking me and also acting in concert with those that are documented, such as UPS. They're all engaging in what is that attack together. And this is the demon possessed. They're all hostile because I documented them. This is nothing other than a sore loser, in other words. That's what the demon possessed are. They're sore losers. And what you're witnessing is a violent sex offender. Okay, Sarah Chambliss, Figure 8, while they're engaging in online communication, sending an email, they're engaging in what is federal stalking. Where it's happening is legally relevant. They're documented sex offenders. Okay, which speaker companies already is. But I just want to be clear. You're just an ongoing analysis, an ongoing rundown, an ongoing accumulation of federal charges. Okay, which is going to be known not just in the court. It's going to be known across the globe. Any and everything that they are doing today, not only is it not a secret now, it's going to be published. It's going to be announced, okay, to the whole world. So what they are doing now, the threat that they're openly communicating now, and UPS has no grounds to deny it. The directed light, oh yeah, you're a demon and you're acting with all knowledge and with full intent to threaten and offend somebody, and to act in concert with that corrupt law enforcement agency, which is heavily documented, engaging in stalking and harassment and kidnapping, criminal defamation, etc. And you're doing so with ongoing knowledge because of the fact that you've also been a documented aggressor. And that was a physical attack, which UPS is a part of that entity. UPS is a documented aggressor. Understand how this goes. The state that's monitoring you is monitoring you with the state. Excuse me, is monitoring you with the people of that state. It's not some individualization of that. No, that's not how that goes. The government is doing it through all of the people of the state. That's why you have an environment following you wherever you go, remaining wherever you are. That is literally the demonic act of stalking with an environment that is only conjured up in the pit of hell. It is a scientific impossibility. It is the environment where the criminal system is underway and the demon-possessed surround. All right, so I want to be clear. It is currently 12:47 p.m. There's no sun over the San Bernardino Superior Court. So let's use that as an ongoing example. There's no sun over the San Bernardino Superior Court at 245 Arrowhead in San Bernardino, California, like I documented. And in that video documentation at 12:47 in the afternoon on October 4th, 2019. So you're talking about October is relevant to what is daylight savings time. Let me zoom out. October 4th is relevant to daylight savings time, so it's going to be the same time. So you're talking about down to the same minutes, 12:47 p.m. And on this video, which you will reference, I've already referenced it several times, but I'm just going to conclude this video with that ongoing conclusive evidence of what is specific targeting by UPS, by Gabriel Arriaga CARBAJAL, who waged a physical attack, specifically crossing path on my video in order to communicate a threat, a show of hostility. All of this is known because of the specific environment. Everything that you're seeing, everything that you're hearing is accomplishing monitoring. And so the target individual that's documenting, like I am, the demon-possessed are engaged in ongoing communication of a threat. This is passive aggression to an unheard of, unfathomable degree. This is mental illness, okay, by a highly malicious demon-possessed entity. And that's exhibited through their conduct. All of it's intentional. And you know that through what is literally the scientific impossibility of the light source that remains for the duration of the day, all day long, to the exclusion of any other place. There's only one sun. There's not one sun here and then one sun that's orbiting around the rest of the world in order to be over the sky space in Florida. It's not over Florida while it's over my apartment building all day, period. And there's no sun that's over the San Bernardino Superior Court at 12:47 in the afternoon. But what you do have is the pattern of the Los Angeles Police Department stalking in helicopter while that light source is over me. And you have the San Bernardino Police Department stalking and flying over my head. That's group stalking in a specific environment by helicopter while the light source is directly over me. And the presence of a light source, which is not possibly the sun, maintaining a zenith presence at the same time in two entirely different regions, that is speaking to the criminal system that you're witnessing UPS participate in, the United States Postal Service engage in, what are the entity that physically attacked me acting via Gabriel Arriaga CARBAJAL, him and his demon-possessed daughters and wife, group stalking in concert with the entity, Ryan Abundance, and with their, I'm presuming, his children in the car, stalking with audible activity, demonstrating demon possession. All of this is being exhibited while the entity is in the specific environment, showing what is hostility as one, engaging in what is an ongoing threat as one, engaging in what is openly sexually violent criminal monitoring in the private space as one, and doing so with regard to the intent to retaliate because this is a sore loser who's heavily documented and is inevitably suffering. Everybody here is going to federal prison. The UPS driver, he's going to federal prison. And you're talking about what is the entity that's being documented on an ongoing basis. Your whole system is exposed. So I just want to make sure that you understand that the entity is in every way targeting. Everything that you saw right now was specific. Let me go in and I want to crawl. All of that it is literally specific. This is not some complex that I have with regard to thinking everything is about. No. And I don't find that to be a compliment. And that's not what this is. You need to understand the reality of demonic activity, understand the reality of a targeting system. It is not in the imagination of somebody to suggest that they are being targeted by everyone everywhere. The sayings such as, oh, if you think it's everyone all the time, most of the time, it's probably not everyone, it's you. That's actually not true. The system of federal group stalking and monitoring, it literally is everyone everywhere. That's actually true. All right. And this is what you're looking at. And you're recognizing it through the environment, which is a scientific impossibility. There's no sun over the San Bernardino Superior Court right now. And you know that because while it remains over my apartment, over my head in its zenith, as you see, as I step outside of the front of my office, off the front of my apartment, the entity is maintaining the light source. By the way, when I'm at my leasing office, it's not over building 1806 like you saw it. It's over in adjacent to building 1810, right outside of my leasing door. And you already know that. But nonetheless, it's also not over the San Bernardino Superior Court. No, it's not. You're talking about one sun. You're understanding what is a light source. And that is understanding the truth of it is everyone, everywhere that is indeed targeting you. And everything that you're looking at, and I'm giving you a consistent analysis, and I'm also letting you know about the mind state of those that are targeting you, and doing so for the purpose of psychologically torturing the target individual that has a hard time articulating, even understanding, or recognizing everything that's going on. It is the truth that you are targeted by everyone, everywhere that you go. All right. And the entity, the demon possessed, the psychopath, the mental illness is made manifest while they look to the left and the right, and they're entirely targeting you. Because you're looking to the opposite side and the light source is present and engineer light is present and the entity stalking by helicopter, that does not equal I'm not targeting you. That's not what that means. That's showing the mental illness of the entity. And that's what this system is premised on. And that's called malice. And that's a threat to your life, your physical safety, your overall well-being, and your liberty. All right. It is currently, again, 12:52 p.m. This is P.O.C. I'm glad that you saw all that. I want you to understand the impunity of these companies that you are giving your money to, you support, you endorse them, you may even work for them, and you know, you're not, I don't know where you are, but I know in California, if you work for them, you're a group stalker. But I'm talking to the world, wherever you are, you may not be aware, but you need to understand that there are many, many puppets of Satan, and in California, they are working for the law enforcement agencies. They are in any way that you can fathom. This entire region, all of this is engineer light. None of that is sunlight. This is speaking to a massive surveillance system in a specific environment. And this is a way of them living. On this same street at 5:21 p.m. yesterday, the light source was hovering over me. Okay, so I believe that's 1831 Alvarado Street. They're going to federal prison. I documented them engaging in assault and battery. The light source was directly over their house. And because this entity engaged in physically harming me, they're going to federal prison. You put your hands on me and you're monitoring at the same time, you're going to federal prison. You engage in kidnapping, you engage in criminal summoning, any role that you had, including entertaining that fictitious prosecution in the court, in your role as a DA or a PD or some so-called mental health professional, while you are entirely making up information and a relationship while it's a kidnapping in the first, you're going to federal prison. Every aspect of that crime. So this entity engaged in physical violence, and everybody that I documented by address, by license plate, I went over their house. You see the light source moving over their house. That's not the sun that's going to be at this same street at 5:21 p.m. over 1831 Alvarado Street. That's not the sun. That's the identification of a group stalker who's going to federal prison, though. That's what's going to happen to them. It is currently, again, 12:54 p.m., and this is P.O.C.